Chris Hipkins.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You anticipated I was about to stand before I had even made it all the way to my feet, so I thank you.
I can read the member's mind.
I thank you for that. I couldn't let this particular provision pass without making a brief comment, because I had some trepidation when I discovered that the Minister was proposing to incorporate integrated schools into the Primary Act, because I remember having a conversation with Brother Pat about this many years ago, where he described the Conditional Integration Act as like the integrated schools equivalent of the Treaty of Waitangi. And he was at the time vehemently opposed to any change to that. And so I've been keeping in regular contact with the proprietors of integrated schools as this legislation has progressed, to ensure that they are comfortable with where we have got to, and they are indeed comfortable with the changes that are being proposed now, although they did have some suggestions along the way. It's important to note that the Act is being removed and incorporated into the main Act on the basis that there aren't any substantive policy changes unless they have been specifically agreed. And there is actually a contract, if you like, between the integrated schools and the Minister and the Ministry around that. And we have worked through the Select Committee and I guess through back-channel processes to ensure that the changes are consistent with the heads of agreement that were reached, and I have been advised that they are, and on that basis the Labour Party is comfortable with supporting this. It's important I think it's worth noting in the House that the Conditional Schools Integration Act had its origins in the third Labour government under Norman Kirk. And Norman Kirk described it as unfinished business when it was introduced, and the Labour Party has always been, I think, quite proud of the bringing into the system of the schools, because the Catholic schools would have all collapsed financially had this Act not been passed in the first place. So I'm satisfied that we have kept faith with the original intent of the Act in incorporating it into the main Education Act.
The Honourable Hekia Parata.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I stand to give 3